Is Britain's establishment up to its old tricks of ignoring migrant sex crimes? As channel crossings increase, Labour are housing illegal immigrants in hotels and towns around Britain, such as the nice little English town of Earley, where residents raised the alarm recently after seeing men loitering outside a primary school and filming children, and chasing schoolgirls near a hotel where hundreds of male migrants are housed. Teachers have warned children not to walk home alone to reduce the risk of being victims of horrific crime. Residents have posted on social media reporting young girls being harassed and chased and catcalled from our visitors at the hotel. But local Labour MP Yang, I think I've got that flavour of shampoo, insisted that there's nothing to suggest endemic predatory behaviour from residents at the hotel. Somehow I doubt she lives anywhere near it, and as I'll explain, her reassurances are about as convincing as the mayor in Jaws who says the beaches are open and the sea is free from sharks. Police back up her narrative though, dismissing claims that men from migrant hotels are stalking schoolgirls. But are they just covering it up for the sake of community cohesion? Because the same police previously told the school that they're aware of concerns and are actioning accordingly, whatever that means. A resident told a Daily Mail reporter that police officers had been knocking on residents' doors in search of CCTV footage that may show schoolgirls being approached. Residents also report police cars patrolling around the primary school at the end of the school day, and there are first-hand accounts of suspicious behaviour and children being approached. The witness told reporters, "My friend was walking her son to school and there was this girl on her own and there was this seemingly foreign guy asking for directions to the shops, and he said, 'You come with me, you show me,' and my friend had to tell him no and he walked off. This was 2 weeks ago. We usually let our kids play outside here, we don't allow that anymore." There was a similar situation in the nice village of Deanshanger in Northamptonshire where residents raised concerns. According to Sergeant Lorna Clark, the police had received several calls from people concerned about males hanging around the primary school at picking up and dropping off time, and the school had sent a letter to parents warning them about these men. Sergeant Clark said that there had been several posts on social media and WhatsApp and that she had personally spoken to those concerned and to the school. Sergeant Clark said that after speaking to people directly and having her officers attend the hotel, they had not identified a risk to anyone and reassured residents there is no evidence to support that any offences have taken place. Parents don't seem that enthused by the denial though, and local residents told a Daily Telegraph reporter that they'd seen men from the hotel loitering outside the school and filming the children, and they also drop litter, which sounds like small stuff in the context of all this, but this is Britain. We don't like littering, queue jumping or nonsense. Sergeant Clark said, "While I fully appreciate the community's concerns, I ask that people don't take this matter into their own hands, but continue to speak to the police about any instance they witness or any concerns they have. We are well linked in with the hotel and can deliver some work there around appropriate behaviours and different cultural expectations." Cultural expectations! That phrase right there tells you everything you need to know. The authorities are going to tiptoe around this issue, terrified of being accused of racism, so they'll have a training session and waft leaflets about cultural expectations in front of men from cultures where very different things are expected. This is being treated as if it's a matter of politeness. Yes, there are definitely different cultural expectations, and these cultural expectations mean these men will not respond to a fluffy training session by some lefty wet wipe on cultural expectations. Look at the behaviour of men from some of these cultures. One of the Pakistani Muslim grooming gang ringleaders was recently released from jail after serving less than half of his sentence for raping children who'd been tortured, had petrol poured on them, and had been beaten unconscious with a claw hammer. Or the man in Oxford who burnt his initials into the skin of a 12-year-old victim so that other men knew who she belonged to. Oh, if only these men had been handed a leaflet and attended an afternoon training session on British cultural expectations with a break for tea and biscuits, then I'm sure they'd have stopped and said, burning your name into the flesh of your child victim is considered impolite here. Chaining a child to the radiator and beating her while phoning my friends to come and have their way with her is considered a cultural faux pas here. Well then I must stop." And honestly, that leaflet would need a pretty limited run because demographic changes are forcing British culture to change, and the way the police are talking, it'll be decriminalised soon. Leaflets and training sessions around cultural expectations only work on British people who for some reason prioritise social acceptance over everything, so we'll happily let invaders do what they want to children as long as nobody thinks that they personally are breaching cultural expectations or appearing racist. One of the most disturbing things about the grooming gang scandal is reading about how the wives and families of some of the most vile criminals supported them in court and condemned the victims for causing the crimes. But what do you think happens when you bring in people from medieval cultures where child marriage is legal and rape is seen as the fault of the woman for provoking the man? Medieval criminals will only respond to medieval punishments, and they don't have to worry about what anyone in Britain thinks because they know we're a soft touch. Honestly, I have no idea how this country even manages to get a spider out the bath or open a deck chair, never mind how we took over the world. A similar approach to this cultural expectations training is seen in other hotels. Someone posted this footage from a migrant hotel with a sign saying, "Please do not leave children unattended," and also another one saying, "Do not touch kids without permission of their parents." I mean, let's hope they can all read English. This is a disturbing reminder that in some cultures, it's seen as acceptable with the parents' permission. Iraq recently lowered the age of marriage to 9 years old for a woman. Although personally, I think that even with the parents' permission, it's a no-no. Imagine the awkward conversations this poster could spark between a confused Iraqi nonce and some parents. I've got to be honest, if these guys ask me permission to touch my kids, they'll be doing their next touching with broken fingers. I couldn't independently verify the source, so it's possible that someone designed, printed out and laminated two different signs and stuck them on a hotel wall to try and whip up hysteria about the migrants, but it fits with other initiatives to try and get these men to keep their mucky little fingers to themselves. In the wake of the mass sex assaults in Germany and a wave of cases of sexual harassment by migrants in public swimming pools, officials handed out a cartoon guide on appropriate etiquette in German captions with subtitles in Arabic. No touchy the bum bum. There are also other handy tips such as don't drown women in the water, and wear swimming trunks instead of underpants because we don't want to see your schnitzel. It's not just the authorities who want to brush this stuff under the carpet. British citizens have been indoctrinated to see any concern over harassment by migrants as far-right bigotry. In the English town of Altrincham, a school sent a letter to parents saying, "Dear parents and carers, I've been made aware of several very serious incidents about attempted abductions of children from schools in our local area. These attempts happened whilst children were walking to and from school on their own. I would be grateful if you can speak to your child about how to stay safe and support us in reinforcing the following messages. Go out in pairs or groups. Do not engage in conversations with strangers. If approached by a stranger, they may be on foot or in a car, do not talk to them and move away quickly. Never get into a car or van of someone you don't know, even if they say they know you or your family. If you ever feel afraid of an adult, make lots of noise and run away." I understand that these are scary messages to pass on to your child, but it is important that we help our children stay safe at all times. Please report anything suspicious to both the police and the school. Another local school, Broad Oak, sent this message. This morning, one of our pupils was approached by a male at Altrincham Interchange who tried to entice her to his car, telling her he was driving to Partington so could give her a lift. The pupil did not go with him. She reported the incident to a member of staff when she arrived at school, and the police have been informed. As advised last week, please speak to your child about the ways they can keep themselves safe on their journey to and from school. For example, travelling to or from school in groups or with a friend. Children are also asked to report all suspicious behaviour to the police, the school staff and to parents immediately. A concerned local mother posted this on Facebook. At this point, it'd be wise not to make children wear identifying items of school uniform on their way to school for safety. Blazers should be worn under a coat on the way into school or kept in a bag and put on when they arrive at the school so a member of the public cannot see where the kids are going to. A local resident and White Knight responded to this concerned mother saying, "Please can we be careful here? We had a letter from the school today off the back of a pile of Facebook rumours that engaged a huge amount of police time, concluding that one potential incident resulted in several fabricated events linked to certain prejudices. Crying wolf for political reasons is a huge waste of resources and is most likely causing actual incidents to be missed by dilution. Admin here are switched on, but I'm losing my tolerance." Man, as if any mothers are crying wolf for political reasons, like Susan at number 24 thinks this Facebook post alerting people to a child safeguarding issue is going to propel her to the front bench of government. This virtue signalling FUD is literally doing the Norm Macdonald joke. What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans. Imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims. Honestly, some British people are so cucked and broken they've been indoctrinated to believe that tolerance is the highest virtue. So these people actually love these horrific sex crimes, as the more horrific the thing they tolerate is, the more virtuous they are. Facebook Facebook groups show this as well, with moderators turning off comments in case someone has information that could help protect their children, and lefty men patting themselves on the back while smugly telling concerned mothers not to worry, and also that saying migrant is a dog whistle term and they should say asylum seeker instead. Yes, the most important thing, of course, is making sure we use the politically correct terminology while describing the assault of school children. Someone else threatened to report someone for inciting racial hatred for sharing a warning message from a friend that didn't even mention race. What happened to believe all women? I guess that only applies to actresses who put up with a hand on their knee to get a job. Are all these posts reflective of a growing problem, or are they, as some people are suggesting, just paranoid hysteria making people see criminal behaviour in friendly visitors hanging around outside schools in case the children need some help crossing the road? Well, it's strange for so many people to suddenly independently start hallucinating similar experiences, and these accounts of potential sex crimes fit with data released by the Ministry of Justice that reveals that in the UK a quarter of sexual offences were committed by foreign nationals, who are 71% more likely to be perpetrators than British nationals. Two nationalities, Afghans and Eritreans, were more than 20 times more likely to be convicted of sexual offences than British citizens. You'd think this might make the government go, maybe we should exercise some form of border control. But no, our borders are more open than ever. As of March 2025, approximately 38,079 asylum seekers were housed in UK hotels, costing the government £5.5 million each day in housing and other benefits. We are paying hand over fist to bring men into the country who are statistically more likely to commit sexual offences. Over 150,000 men have come across the channel in the last few years. That's an army. Instead of reducing illegal immigration, our government encourages it, even handing out mobile phones to asylum seekers. Are some of them using these phones to film these children? Incredibly, a state-backed migrant charity even used schoolgirls to film a video for the migrants.
Shemai.
Hello and welcome to Wales.
We understand being a refugee isn't easy. They go through so much.
Fleeing your country is difficult, but Wales wants to help you feel welcome.
The Welsh refugee camps are here to help you. You can contact them here.
None of this is done by accident. As Britain's leader Keir Starmer says, it's deliberate.
The Independent Office of National Statistics has conducted vital work on the state of immigration and found the previous government were running an open borders experiment. As the ONS sets out, nearly 1 million people came to Britain in the year ending June 2023. That is 4 times the migration levels compared with 2019. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders.
The Tories encouraged mass immigration in a vain attempt to keep economic plates spinning. As our population ages and people don't have enough kids to sustain it, the country can't afford things like pensions and healthcare, so immigration provides a flurry of economic activity and kicks the issue down the road for another few years by importing fully grown workers, who the Tories also like because they don't demand rights, they lower wages for businesses and they push up rents for landlords. And Labour have even more of an incentive to encourage mass immigration because it helps them to get votes. Traditionally, migrants tended to settle in cities or their own areas that already vote to the left. Under Labour's Operation Scatter, these migrants are moved out to Tory voting areas. This makes sense politically for Labour, as when these people are registered to vote, they will tend to vote Labour. And there are other incentives for the government too. Mass immigration helps them to fragment and subdue the British population, helps them to bring in harsh anti-terror laws that can immediately be turned on British citizens, and it helps them to bring in restrictive speech laws. Britain is about to introduce a definition of Islamophobia that makes it illegal to question Islamism. And of course, at the heart of every socialist movement is this desire to get revenge against the colonial rich. But I don't think this is going to dovetail with Keir's proposed remilitarisation of Britain. Who's going to leave Britain to protect another country's borders when we can't protect our own? Who's going to leave their family unprotected from the people who are within our borders? I've got a video coming out soon on my Patreon about the remilitarisation of Britain. Check out the link below. And will Keir's relentless persecution of of British people for criticising and kicking back against his immigration policy eventually pushed the country to a tipping point. He is already emptying the prisons in anticipation of more riots this summer. Angela Rayner says that under Operation Scatter, all local authorities have to take their fair share of these illegal migrants, although I'm not sure what's so fair about taking something you haven't asked for. I know most of these men just come here for a better life, and I've got every sympathy for people who want to work hard and better themselves, but we've got to put British children first. As a basic societal prophylactic, we should only let people from compatible cultures in, unless there are extraordinary circumstances. It wouldn't even be that hard. If we just stop giving them free stuff, a lot of them will stop coming. And we've got to stop pretending that multiculturalism is good. Not all cultures are equal, and cultures that treat women as property, see other cultures as subhuman, and lead to horrific crimes against children are worse than European culture. And even though there are differences between cultures, hopefully we can also find some similarities to bond over. I was reading that some of these men see Western women as infidel whores, and I realised, yes, we do have something in common. Anyway, if you found this video interesting and want to find out more about how mass immigration is changing Britain, check out my video on the rise of the Muslim vote and sectarian voting. It's right here. And if you want to support me making these videos and get early access and exclusive content, then sign up to my Patreon. There's a link below. Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye bye.